Guys, how are you?
Yeah,
Good,
good.
thanks.
Thanks.
How are you?
Good. You didn't look like are you still doing like the arm thing, like the handshake thing now, or what was that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Forgot about
I
that.
forgot about the handshake for a moment. Yeah, that is such an iconic part of the movie. We did practice that a lot, and we had to figure out what we wanted
Yeah.
it. It was fun.
That was good. I wanted to ask you, and this is a question for both of you, like it's kind of a common refrain from a lot of actors and directors that like dancing and action sequences are very similar because it's, put your body in a certain place, block the camera in a certain way, and how you edit it afterwards. The fact that Polite Society has both, the big kind of dance sequence at the end and all the fight sequences in between. Is that actually true? Like, I mean, are fight sequences and dance sequences very, very similar?
I think they are. As you say, you're not in when you're shooting an action sequence, a fight sequence, you're not intending to hurt the other person. There's a it is a dance, really. I grew up loving Jackie Chan movies, and I think he's just like a legend in how he uses his body, uses the environment, and it has a kind of dancerly quality. And I also think there's a sort of relationship between fight sequences and comedy. It's all about kind of rhythm and movement and tone and style and delivery. So for me, yeah, dance and action for sure, and also action and comedy, finding those beats, finding those hits, the beats, the rhythms are all kind of working together, I'd say.
How about you, Priya?
I definitely think there is a similarity. I think personally, I felt they were different in the way, sometimes when we were shooting action sequences, they're very much like split up into kind of sections and easier to shoot sections. Whereas, for example, with the dance, every take was the entire dance run.
Oh.
So, in those ways, like practically as the actor, we were approaching them slightly differently. But in terms of like using both of those forms to tell the story, like how I incorporated Rhea into both of those, both the action sequences and within the dance, and the way in which we learned them, the choreography, perfecting that form and figuring out the blocking and how we wanted it to look, and all of that was very similar. So yeah, there were definitely similarities and differences.
That's good. What films, Priya, did Nida have you watch before you started production? Like, I mean, I know like Scott Pilgrim was obviously kind of felt like it was kind of one of the things. Was there anything else?
Yeah. So I definitely did watch Scott Pilgrim. Obviously, I watched The Matrix, Kill Bill, Jackie Chan, and also watching like lots of different comedies as well to kind of understand tonally, like a lot of Edgar Wright or, the Coen brothers. I watched The Big Lebowski, all sorts of things, like just things that I thought like would help, even things that have like sibling relationships in them. And yeah, a lot of action film. As many fighting things as I could. It was definitely like in my bones by the end of it.
Nida, did you have any? Were there any films you were watching during production or pre-production that like were kind of at focus, or rather, if you were to program like a double Polite Society with a double bill, what film do you think that would be? Like, or are they two different questions?
Those are two different questions because I have different answers.
Okay,
double bill. I would want to sort of hit it with the film Raw, R-A-W, by Julia Ducournau. Sort of
very good.
Again, sisterhood, femininity through genre, and I love that film, and I think that is one of my favorite films that explores sisterhood. And then the second part of your question was about what was I watching in prep. Me and my DOP were kind of trying to figure out what stylistically would be like something that we would draw from and talk about. We would always say like, this film needs to feel like it's the film a teenage girl would make. There needs to be a kind of rough edges to it. And in a weird way, we're talking about like, I don't know, 70s Scorsese. There's something kind of like when he's like kind of wired and making the cinema that's got a frenetic energy. And then we'd also talk about like Park Chan-wook movies, the Vengeance trilogy, because those are stylized. They have genre, but there's a kind of bursting at the seams, kind of weird bottled energy to them that we wanted to make sure our film had. It's like fizzing, it's sort of stylized and structured and sort of controlled, but it's also kind of bursting at the seams at the same time. And we felt like Old Boy really does that.
Yeah, that's really good. And the Raw thing, especially, I never would have thought of that, but now that you say it, makes total sense. Like, because it's very similar, just doing your genre. Okay, I'm getting the wrap there. So, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I am the